Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I'm your host, Sareth Ney, and every episode I bring a comic on to shine light on them and give them their flowers because they're pretty awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mark Masters. Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm awesome. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, bud, and thanks for being my guest. It means a lot. And we just talked earlier today, and I'm like, sure, I have a availability open today. Why not? So,
Yeah, I'm about to go on the road for like 2 weeks, so this is
wow,
it's good to squeeze it in last minute, but happy to do it for you, man. It was nice seeing you
awesome.
at that comedy festival a few weekends ago, and I'm glad you reached out.
Oh heck yeah! I had a blast there, and my camera stopped recording shortly halfway through, and the whole file got corrupted. I'm like, that was one of my best sets. Then I'm like, well, at least I got the audio and I put it on SoundCloud, so I'm like, that works out. So,
Nice.
yep.
Always
So
good to
awesome.
have
So
a backup.
for sure.
I had a
And
here's
now,
a pro tip for everybody. I had a camera recording a show recently, and it was plugged in, like so not battery. It was plugged into the wall, and somebody tripped over the cable, which is a whole nother story, and unplugged it, which also unplugged the lights for the show. And so we had to reset all that, and it didn't really occur to me that the camera wouldn't turn on by itself when we plugged everything back in. And it was an amazing show, and I don't have video of it
uh,
after the person tripped over the cable. So always check your camera like halfway through a show. Make sure it's still recording if it's important to you.
indeed, get an intern and have them make sure it's still running. So,
Yes. And if the first half of the show is corrupted now as well. So I need a Windows 10 computer. If anybody in Denver has access to a Windows 10 computer, let me know because the Panasonic software only runs on Windows 10 or higher, and I use Mac computer.
indeed, I use a Lenovo, so
Oh,
Macs. Yep. So Macs are just too expensive for me, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go with
okay.
Lenovo.
What on Windows or Linux, Unix, whatever it's called?
Windows. Yep.
Windows
Yep.
10 or higher?
Yep.
I'm coming to you, man. I'm driving to Florida. I'll be there in like 10 days.
Are you really coming to Florida?
I really am. I'll be in Orlando and West Palm Beach, which I think is the wrong side of the coast. Where are you?
I'm in Daytona Beach,
Which
so
is which
really
side?
like an hour and a half to Orlando.
Okay, like west of Orlando.
Yep. Or
Well, yeah,
east.
I might be driving through. I'm going to be going from Orlando to Huntsville, Alabama. Does that go through? Does it?
Orlando, Alabama is going west, so I can meet up with you in Orlando if I don't have anything.
Okay,
So
we'll email about it. This is boring for other people, but yeah, that could be exciting. Okay, cool. I'll bring the hard drive that has the file on it, and I'll email you. We'll see if maybe you can download that software and see if it works. It's straight
yeah,
from Panasonic. Cool. All
for
right.
sure.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
By the way, that's Sunday, November, whatever a week from yesterday is.
Oh, I'll be at in Daytona Beach that day because I'm gonna go see a one man show.
Okay.
Um, so it's the fifth, I think. Correct.
Okay. Fifth. Yeah, I'm in Nashville the night before. Drive to Orlando on Sunday. Monday, go to West Palm Beach. So, anyways.
Wow, that's a lot of work. I think it depends on the day. Like what time's your show on? Well, we'll talk about it on
We'll talk about it offline. Sounds good.
so so Mark, how much time can I have you on the show just to
What
make sure?
until I'm standing right now, which may be a mistake.
Oh,
So until my legs get tired. So, but ask away. I'm happy to give you my time and because you asked nicely. So
awesome,
yeah,
fantastic. So Mark, you're the Colorado's second cleanest comedian. So who's the first, and how did you get the title?
that's me, Colorado's second cleanest comedian. I gave myself the title. Little secret. Has been published in the Colorado Springs Gazette, which is a fairly big newspaper, serves a community of 1 million people. Um, but so you could attribute it to Colorado Springs Gazette if you were being generous, but otherwise, I came up with that if we're being honest. And
Awesome,
who's the first is you have to come see me live. And if you ask me before the show, I'll make sure to do the chunk that includes that. Uh, but
awesome.
yeah, I'm glad
Oh,
you noticed it. It's a a marketing gimmick, whatever. It's a way for people to remember me. I'm clean
indeed.
but fun.
Heck yeah, that's the way to go. So you can get a lot of gigs, and I'm like my nickname from another comic is like the cleanest, dirtiest comic in Daytona Beach
Okay.
because I say really dirty things without any curse words, and
Okay.
I can go like a half hour. And
Nice.
it's pretty fun.
Nice.
It's a good trade off. It's a good trade off.
Good.
Yeah, but I got 10 minutes of real clean material. Nothing like filthy. But yeah.
Yeah. I recently did 20 minutes of church clean, and I
Oh
couldn't
wow.
believe how difficult that was. Like, you can't mention, I might have a whole joke that's like 3 minutes long, and there's a part of it that has something about drinking alcohol. Oh, it's got to go. Gambling. Oh, it's got to go. Being mean. Got to go. It can only be the squeakiest clean material. So that was definitely a little bit of a challenge, but it was a lot of fun. And now that I have it, I'm psyched.
Awesome. Heck yeah. So no more blood into wine jokes at the churches.
Yes. Yeah, I guess there is drinking in the Bible. That's a good point.
Indeed.
Maybe I could reconsider that.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So you're a comedy club headliner and a lovable goof that you could do open mics on a sticky floor. And that's where we met was at an open mic, but they didn't have a sticky floor. So shout out to Mutiny Information
Yeah,
Cafe.
yeah, good mopping skills at Mutiny Information Cafe.
Yeah,
Great independent bookstore and all around cool place. Has pinball machines and comic books and South Broadway portion of Denver, Colorado.
indeed. Good stuff. I remember going there on tour and I totally bombed there. And I'm like, well, I did.
At the mic,
Yeah,
yeah, that
no,
mic's hard. That mic's
yeah,
very difficult.
indeed. I'm glad I came back for Redemption because like the first one was a showcase and the last one was an open mic because of the
Okay.
High Plains Comedy Festival. Uh, but I did pretty good at Thick Skin at Downtown Comedy Works.
Oh,
Uh,
you got up? That's
I
awesome.
did, yeah.
Nice.
They totally rigged it. I think Greg was like the guest host, and they were roasting me and my best friend in the audience because I didn't know where to sign up, and we were supposed to go to the green room, so they were just like, roasting us like the whole night, and so the crowd was just like, he picked out three names, just to see who would get the final spot, and the
Yeah.
crowd went bonkers for me because they were roasting me the whole night. I'm like, yep, you're gonna get the 4 minutes, and I'm like, all right, fantastic. So I just did 4 minutes up there.
That's awesome. At the end of the show when the crowd's all hot, that's great. That's
Oh
really
yeah.
fun. Who was the host?
I think his name was Greg. He went on
Oh, this
hiatus.
is a long time ago.
Yeah,
That's
long
before
time.
I even did comedy. Greg, I
Wow.
forget his last name, but I know of him by reputation. I've never seen him, never met him. He doesn't do comedy anymore, but he's infamous in the Denver comedy scene. Yeah, he started Thick Skin.
Oh, sweet. Now Mike and Matt are taking
Yeah, Mike
over.
Stanley, Matt Kobos, so funny,
Yeah,
both of them. They're awesome.
indeed. They're. I met Mike finally in person in Tampa or Wesley Chapel, Side Splitters, and he's such a great guy. He gave me a sticker, so he's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff. So you'll do anyone's show. That's pretty awesome. Like I'm sad that
Hey,
I
you
said.
saw it today. You reached out. You're like, "Hey, will you do this?" And I was like, "Yes." That's my mantra. Say yes to everything.
Indeed. I wish I could say yes to your Mississippi show, but I'm like, I'm going to Chicago soon and I gotta save all my pennies. So I
Yep.
gotta
It's all good. Hey, can I
yeah,
ask you a question? A
yeah.
random question? I got this like powered by StreamYard thing in my I think you can turn that off, or can you not?
I can't because it's the 25, but I'm doing the free service.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you know how
We're we're,
comedians
we're
are
pinching
cheap.
pennies. Okay.
Yeah, for
Sounds good.
25.
It's a duck. It's a plane. It's look at it. It's flying right there. It's so cute. So cute. StreamYard is great though. I love StreamYard. I use StreamYard. It's terrific.
Absolutely. Very user friendly. So
Yeah,
yep,
I like ducks too. Ducks are great. You
yeah.
know, they're so
Unless
calm and stoic on the top, but down underneath, they're shaking their legs. It's a good way to live your life, I think.
that's totally me for sure. Yep, but I don't like ducks in the game Duck Hunt though. Those were they flew away in the
Wah,
doghouse.
wah, wah, wah. Love
Yeah.
duck hunt. Oh man, I love a good duck hunt with that old school gun. That thing was terrific. It
Oh
was
yeah.
awesome with the little wah wah. The dog was annoying. Wah wah.
Yep.
I did not like the dog. The ducks, I felt maybe bad for him. I don't think I did feel bad for him. I should have.
Yep.
Now that I think about it, but
They said like if you use the other controller, you can control the ducks on the screen. I don't know how true that is.
I don't know if that's true either. That would be wild if true. Pretty
Mm,
neat.
for sure. Yeah,
Mission,
if
mission.
only we could old jelly that dog. It'd be... I'm kidding. Pet your dogs, hug them. Good stuff. So you've performed at comedy clubs like on the weekends in large cities and small. So what keeps you going? That's pretty awesome. I seen your tour dates. I'm like, wow, you're like outperforming everyone.
Nah, I'm small potatoes. But yeah, I do every once in a while. I get lucky and I get to do a big room. But like I do a lot of small rooms too. I got a tour coming up here, and like the first night, I'm hosting at a comedy club that's doing a comedy competition. Not even sure if I'm getting paid. Haven't asked. We'll find out at the end of the show, I guess. Probably it's based on ticket sales. We'll see how that goes. And then from there, I'm doing a real like a showcase. Last time I was there, it sold out. So it was fun, like maybe 50, 60 people in the room. It's at a cidery. What do you call that? A cidery? A cidery, like a cider bar. They sell alcoholic apple juice in Arkansas. Really fun. And I'm headlining that. So that'll be cool. And then the next night, my show got canceled. Oh man, what a bummer! It's so hard to put together a tour when you're driving across the country. But I was featuring at a really cool show that was about to hit its 3-year anniversary, and the venue canceled on the show producer, which is that happens sometimes. To the show producer's credit, he got me a guest spot at a comedy club. So I'm going to be doing a guest spot there, which is cool. And the headliner is this guy, Dale Jones, who is so funny. He's out of the Atlanta area. And I've seen him, I've shared a stage with him before, and he's just incredible. So I'm really excited to be working with him again. But that's an example of I'm doing a guest spot at a comedy club. It's unpaid. I mean, let's not over exaggerate how well I'm doing. It's a lot of, unpaid. I'm trying to get better. Every show, just learn something new, add a tag to a joke, figure out, just have a new experience. And this tour through the Southeast is a lot of new stuff for me. I'm going to states I've never been to. I've never been to the state of Mississippi, and I'm going to headline a show there. So that's exciting. I don't think I've ever been to the state of Alabama either, and I'm headlining the show there. And what else am I doing on this tour? And those are both at like restaurants, and I'm doing like a small 50-seater club that I'm headlining in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And I'm doing a bar show, which I assume is going to be not great. There are these bar shows in the middle of this one's in Akron, and a lot of people are thinking Ohio right now. No, plot twist, Akron, Colorado. I've lived in Colorado like 25 years. I've never heard of Akron, Colorado. It's middle of nowhere, a bar. I'm sure the people will be great. I love a small town comedy show, but it's So, anyways, long answer to hey, how are those headlining weekends at comedy clubs? They happen sometimes, but I'm on the way up. I'm trying to fly like a duck.
Indeed. Watch out for those dogs that laugh at you.
Zigzagging. It's like duck hunt being in this comedy game. There's a zig for a zag, and there's ups and downs, and wah 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 wah.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So, wow, it's just like you've done like barcades, and I'm just reading off your bio because it's
I've
just
noticed. I figured out the trend because I don't have a publicist. I wrote that bio. If you can
awesome.
imagine it myself, so I see how this is going.
It's great. It's like I never like it's so lengthy. I'm like, it's just like it's pretty wild. I'm like, I should have like just read off the bio on your website's front page, but I'm like, let me click
Sure.
this, and it was like, sure enough, there's like because it's so meat on the bones, so much meat on the bones. It's just like
All right.
this is
Yeah.
what I live for. Like this is
Yeah.
great. So
Okay.
yeah,
Any questions you have, you shout them out. I'm here to answer them for you.
you got it. So what was it like performing at a barcade in the Midwest?
Barcade in the Midwest. It's now called Joystick Arcade. It used to be called the Yacht Club. It changed names over the pandemic. It's in Iowa City, which is where University of Iowa is. Go Hawkeyes! And the last time I was there, this is kind of interesting. The head coach of the University of Big Ten football team makes millions of dollars a year. Walked right by me. I was carrying a big crate of merch, and he walked right by me. No security or anything. Guy makes probably $2 million a year. It's pretty neat, and I recognize him right away because I've seen him on TV a bunch. I think he's been the head coach for a decade at least. Ferenc, I forget first name, maybe Kirk. I can't remember, Kurt, something like that. But Ferenc, I walked right by him. It's cool, university town, and the bar itself is nice. The food, you get a meal, which is nice. It comes from like a next door restaurant. They run it over, and that's cool. The one time I was there, I've been there, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. It's a great spot, and it's a good example of this is like the Sam Talent playbook. I went there and just did the open mic, and I did okay. And I went back like a year later, and I did the open mic. I did pretty well. And then I went back the next year, and I was signed up for the open mic, and they were like, "Oh, we remember you. Do you want to do a spot at the end, like a longer spot?" And I was like, "Sure, sure." And then they were like, "Hey, reach out next time you're coming through town." And I started getting booked to do like headline the showcases, and they have a drag uh, show that goes on the same time. It overlaps like towards the end of the headlining set. The drag show starts, and you can kind of hear it. And at least once or twice, I've had to share a changing room with the drag stars, and so that's interesting, different, and enjoyable. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely one of those sticky places. It's got, but it's great for comedy. It's got low ceilings. It's a fun place. Joystick Comedy Arcade in Iowa City. Good time. I'd recommend it. And they have a great mic. I forget what night of the week the mic is, but the mic is really cool.
Indeed. Gotta go check that out now. And it's like, I love Sam. Like, I just drove all the way like 3 hours to go see him in Tampa with Nathan Lund.
Oh,
And
no way. I love
yeah,
Nathan. Nathan's
yeah,
the best too. That's
I
awesome.
I had him at my festival in Pueblo like a couple years ago, and we're so DIY that it was like in my friend's basement, and like there was like 2 rows, 8 people in the audience, like packed, like it was packed out. Like all the seats were taken, and like my buddy like flew all the way from St. Augustine, Florida, to perform there too, and his family ended up occupying all the seats, and they drove all the way from Arkansas, and it was just like the best time ever. It was like, this is
That's
great.
great. That's great. Pueblo's a good time.
Oh
Venice
yeah.
of Colorado.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Good stuff. And I love that town. It's like we just celebrated 10 years of the fest, so it's like, and I know that you run your own festival in Vale, so that's pretty
Yeah, look
awesome.
at that. There it is right there.
Yeah,
Vail Comedy Festival.
indeed.
ValeComedyFestival.com, everybody. It's currently Monday, October 30th. Submissions open on November 1st, officially for May 24th through 26th, 2024. But here's a little secret. Submissions actually go live on Halloween Day every year at the cheapest price, but we never really shout it out from the rooftops. So they always go live a day early. And this year, we're using a new ticketing system, so we're actually going to go live 9 p.m. Mountain tonight because I want to make sure it actually works. And in years past, we've restricted how many submissions could be accepted at the cheap price, the like secret early thing. But this year it's unlimited. So we'll see. Last year it sold out. We sold out all the submissions that were available. So
Wow.
we'll see see how many submissions we get between 9 p.m. on October 30th and midnight October 31st, and the prices go up a little bit.
Indeed. So do you require like their most recent tape or their very best performance?
Whatever tape they want, I'd suggest your best performance. A 5-minute tape is what we recommend. And
Awesome.
yeah, just don't make the reviewers download your video. Put it up on YouTube, Vimeo, whatever, some publicly accessible link so they can stream the content.
Indeed. And also, do you prefer clean or dirty stuff?
Well, here, first off, I don't review the tapes for Vail Comedy Festival. So I'm the organizer, founder of Vail Comedy Festival. The first year that I ran the festival, I talked to about a dozen festival organizers. 10 of them were comedy festivals, just asking for advice and opinions. And the best piece of advice I got, it was the same thing from about 3 comedy festival organizers. They asked me, "Are you a comic?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Don't review the submissions because you'll just get into trouble down the road. Somebody will get rejected. They won't like you. That would be a political problem for you. So ever since then, we've had a committee of comedy club owners, national show bookers, comedy fans. It's a kind of motley crew. They're awesome. It changes every year, and each one watches at least 50 videos, at least 5 minutes of each tape, and scores them. We have a rubric and a spreadsheet, and it all goes into like a software program, and it spits out the top 35, 40 comedians who get accepted at the end.
Wow, that's quite a process.
Yeah. So the clean, dirty thing, this is kind of like the dirty little secret of comedy festivals. There are a lot of good comedians out there. Okay. And the way I look at it is we get, hundreds of submissions, and there's like the bottom 25%, they really have no business submitting to the festival. They're just doing it aspirationally. I did that when I was getting started. I was like, oh, I can get into this festival. No, no, maybe in 7 years, like work at your craft for a while. But nothing wrong with that. So they're just out right away. The next, like, probably 50% of submissions are, they're good, but the quality level to get into our festival in particular has really risen. Like, I can't believe it. Last year we had people submitting with Comedy Central half hours, people who had been to Just for Laughs in Montreal, like, just really good people are applying. So there's like a whole chunk of people who are good, but they just kind of don't make the cut that particular year. Maybe next year they will. Then there's like 25% that are good enough to get in. And I'll tell you how I know all this when we circle back, because I don't review the tape. So the top 25%, they're all good enough to get in, but they we don't have enough spaces for all of them. So some of them don't get in, and that's when you get into subjectivity. Like, the example I always give is, if you tell a basketball joke, and like that's your big closer, it's something involving basketball, and the person reviewing it just doesn't really care for basketball, or maybe they don't even not care for it. It's just not like their favorite thing. Whereas if you tell a basketball joke and the person was a former like D1 basketball player, they might be off the charts excited about your tape. Just like there's an element of luck. Similar, like you could tell a dog story and you get a cat person who's reviewing. You can't. It's not fair the way tapes and comedy is judged. Festivals, competitions, they're never fair. Nobody expects them to be fair. They're just kind of like somebody who is good enough in that top clump will get through. But you can be good enough and not get in, which isn't great. And the way I know this is when I get to send out the rejection emails, which is the worst part of organizing a festival. And I get them all the time myself. So I try and make them as nice as possible. And we give the people who are getting rejected all kinds of things. And one of the things we give them is a submission tape review from me. And what that looks like is it's a 10-minute Zoom call. The first 5 minutes is me watching your tape for the very first time, and you get to watch me watch your tape. And in the next 5 minutes is feedback from me. So I give notes, and I've done 50 of these over the years, and I've noticed that some of the tapes are pretty bad, and I think probably this person should not have submitted this year, but they got good feedback through it. And I hopefully help them improve. Other people are, they're good. They're good comics. They're working at their craft. They just weren't kind of like high enough yet. And then there are some people who get rejected who my feedback is basically, that was an outstanding tape. You're definitely good enough to be part of the Vail Comedy Festival. You just you didn't win the roll of the dice this time, because it's a lot of people angling for a relatively small number of spots.
Indeed, it's rough out there. I'm glad you have a committee that deals with all that stuff, because I'm just like,
yeah, it takes a lot. Well, especially, I mean, there's so many videos that it makes me feel better, especially when people don't get in. The first year we ran the festival, I sent a personal note or called every single comedian who got rejected that I knew personally, and just said, hey, there's nothing personal. I just want you to know I didn't even review your tape. but you didn't get in this year. And here's some ways, if they were local, I was like, hey, why don't you volunteer? We got an open mic. There's some ways to get involved. And we've actually been able to, I don't know that this will happen forever. And also, by the way, those tape reviews are not necessarily guaranteed. We've done them every year. I'll probably do them again this year. I imagine at some point we'll get so big that maybe I'll delegate that, or we just won't do it anymore. But I always like to say about the tape reviews that you get what you pay for, because it's free. And who am I to give feedback to somebody? But anyways, we have every festival volunteer who's been a comedian over the years has been able to perform at the Dale Comedy Festival, which is pretty cool. We don't guarantee that, but it is something that we're pretty proud of giving opportunities to our volunteers. So
Good stuff.
yeah.
Indeed, I don't watch any tapes either, to be honest with for mine, because I'm like I know like my way is like I guess like if my homeroom, the Tirnag Irish Pub in Daytona Beach, is like a dive bar. And it's like one of the roughest rooms ever. Like you gotta you gotta like bring it, you know. And I'm like,
Okay.
so I put like 3 open mics at my festival, and I'm like, all right, if you can handle the nog, I'll put you on next year. And so there's no submission fee or nothing like that. But I'm like, I want to see
Nice.
how you do in front of the Daytona crowd because they're wild. And so
Yeah.
yep. And then also like almost like it's bad to do like a buddy system, you know, but like comics that put me on their shows, I also help out too. I'm like, hey, you gave me 10 minutes, like a spot on your show. Here's I'm giving you back your flowers, karma like tenfold, and
Sure.
here's that. So usually I just pick the comics that are willing to drive to Daytona, tell their jokes, see if they handle it, and then you know
What's the name of your festival?
they named it after me. They call it Sareth Fest. So
Huh. Nice.
I tried to change the name. Trust me, I
What
tried.
what time of year is it?
July in Pueblo and October in Daytona Beach.
Wow, that's cool. Twice a year, different
Yep.
locations. That's neat.
Indeed, I couldn't afford to bring my Florida buddies to Colorado, and vice versa. And so I'm just gonna create both of them. Charlie McMullen does all the artwork, and so I always put him on every year. I'm like, thanks for putting drawing this cool artwork. It's like Hellraiser meets Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I wore the shirt at the High Plains,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
so I put
remember.
everyone's names on the back, and they just well, we just love the shirts. Just give us as our payment. Give us some shirts. So I'm like, all right, sounds good. So
Nice.
but yeah, it's pretty. It's going on for 10 years in Colorado and 3 years in Daytona.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's free to
Sareth.
get in, so there's no admission fee or nothing.
Okay.
Just bring your jokes and see if you can handle. And for like, because I'm not based in Colorado, so I just talk to like Charlie or whoever's like that's like whoever does a dark hour or whatever. I'm like, hey, who's best on dark hour, and I'll bring him on to like the fest because I'm like he's my eyes and ears there. So since
Yeah.
I can't be in two
Is
places at
is
once,
Charlie a Pueblo comedian?
Colorado Springs now.
Oh,
So
okay.
he
Okay.
produces the dark hour at Looney's.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So he's my go-to guy, and his artwork is pretty good. So yeah,
Nice.
awesome. So you do also corporate events too. So what's it like doing corporate events?
Uh, it's fun when you cash the check. It's not always fun when you're performing. I remember one I did in California where it was an office. It was like in the office of the corporation. And they were like, okay, this is where I was like, okay, I got there like an hour early. And I was like, all right, where am I setting up? I got to get changed and stuff. And they were like, all right, we're going to have you here. And it was just like a big empty room. And the show was at like 5 p.m. So it's light outside. There are big, huge windows on the side, no stage. I'm like, is there a stage? They're like, no, no stage. I'm like, is there a mic stand? No mic stand. Is there a mic? No mic, no speakers, just a cappella, just standing on the floor with people sitting in couches on the edge of the room. It was tricky. You never know how like clean is okay. Like the person who organizes it always wants you to be super clean. Then you get there and the audience doesn't want you to be super clean. They want you to they're going home that night to watch an R-rated movie. Why would they want to watch G-rated content an hour before? No, it's tricky to navigate, but they're I mean they're one of the only ways to make it in this business, I think. Uh, so the
For
money is
sure.
nice.
I bet. I'm like I've never done a corporate show, but I'm most I'm like, I'm happy doing dive bars.
Yeah. It does it's kind of a cheat code for crowd work, which, people are up and down on crowd work. It's part of comedy, it's here to stay. The neat thing about doing crowd work for a company or a corporation is most of the people know each other already. So once you get to know them and you can crack jokes about them, it's even funnier to the audience because they know that person.
Indeed, it sounds like fun, but the check is nice, but the room is must be rough. So.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I've seen other corporates. I haven't done them, but where they have like $1 million stage lighting systems, sound systems. If you get a big enough client, they can be pretty fantastic. I've also done some online ones, which are great. You wear pajamas and you crack some jokes, and I mean underneath, pajamas, pants down, pants pajamas. You look presentable up top, but nobody knows what you're wearing underneath. So that's great to make maybe a couple $1,000
Wow,
wearing your pajamas is pretty sweet.
absolutely,
That's a
that's
living.
pretty rad.
And no travel when you do the online ones. Love that.
Wow, that's pretty rad. I never thought about like taking meetings and cracking jokes, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Or StreamYard ones, I guess. Good stuff. So you also did a like a New Year's mountain show at a concert venue. What was the concert venue? What was it like as
Yeah,
compared?
sure. I did that was Schmiggity's. Funny name, fun venue, high stage. I don't love a high stage. Kind of a high stage, but really well run in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. That's in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's a ski town, mountain resort town. That was a good show. I did not enjoy the drive home afterwards. My car, it's got I don't remember the exact temperature, but it was like -15 as I was driving. Almost hit some deer. It was a brutal travel situation, but fun show, and yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Wow, that's that's why I moved to Florida. Like I just want to do shows with no snow.
Yeah.
And I can do a show every month. I'm like I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so cold. Like my arm on I don't know if this is backwards or whatever, but the arm, I'm driving, it's America, so I'm on the left side of the car. My arm that was up against the window, I had to move it and get a coat to put over it, and my leg, because it was so cold coming through the door.
Wow.
I mean, there are like no gaps. It wasn't like there was wind blowing in, but it was just it was so cold outside that the heat was not keeping the car warm
Wow.
anymore.
You're amazing, Mark. I'm telling you, you're like the road warrior that I like first road warrior I've ever met. Like you just go everywhere.
I'm
So
trying. My car's got 300 and I can't remember. It's over 310,000 miles now at this
what,
point.
what kind of car is it?
Subaru Outback. Thank you, Subaru. You did a great
Wow.
job. It's a 2010 Subaru Outback. I sleep in it when I need to. This a chore I got to do this afternoon because like I said, I'm going on the road. I got to set up my bed in the back of it. So yeah, it's been all over this country, Rhode Island to California, uh, to Washington to Florida. Have I driven? And this might be the first time I've driven to Florida in the Subaru for a comedy. It's got to be. So that's new.
Dang. Well, it's giving me like a. I got options whether to go with a Toyota, Honda, or a Subaru now because I
Subarus
really
are
want
great.
to.
I mean, they're especially good in the snow, which isn't really a big factor in Florida. But I've been very happy with mine.
Awesome, good stuff. So I was, like you've done shows all over like Colorado and like the Wheeler Opera House in Aspen. That sounds so beautiful. I've never been, but I hear it's like, is it really nice inside?
It's beautiful. The room I was in, I wasn't in the main room. It's like an upstairs bar area that used to be a bank. So there was like a bank vault, which is always fun. Very pretty. Yeah, the Aspen's a beautiful place. It's really nice, um, and good comedy audiences. Yeah,
Awesome. I've only been there once, and I'm like, and the first thing I think of was like Dumb and Dumber when they went to Aspen. So
yeah, yeah. That
that's
was actually filmed in when they come down the hill on the moped. That's on Main Street in Breckenridge, Colorado, which is a different ski town where I run a kind of monthly comedy show. The theater is a little expensive, so I've learned over the years from losing money at running the show that like busy periods, holiday periods, or ski months are where when we're running it going forward. So maybe 4 to 6 times a year in Breckenridge, Colorado. Those are really cool shows, and we fly in comics from New York and LA that have been in movies and on TV, late night spots, etc. So
Good stuff. That's
mhm.
amazing. I'm like, I can only imagine renting out a theater, and I'm like you said, it's expensive. I'm like, oh,
Oh, it's stressful. You got to sell the tickets, you got to pay the comics, and there's just a lot. I bring in a bunch of gear for that show. Luckily, no chairs because it's got beautiful chairs. But I bring in a stage and lighting and sound. It does have its own sound, but it's kind of weird. The sound is behind the movie screen, so like when you're the comic, you're standing in front of the movie screen, and it's like very loud, and I find it jarring to have the speaker behind me. So we have I bring in my own sound system, and it's a great experience. It's really a great experience for the customers, the audience members, because it's a beautiful, it's a nice theater. It's stadium seating. Everybody has a terrific view. Everybody has a comfortable seat, and the comics bring it home.
that's awesome. And you've done, the theater in Aspen to 40 Amphitheater in Vail, Colorado. And what's it like performing like outside in an amphitheater?
It was summer. It was the middle of the day. That was difficult. Uh, there, there were a lot of kids. I told a Pixar joke. I remember that did really well. Something about the hopping lamp. I can't remember what it was. And I had another like Monsters Inc. joke. I think was it Monsters Inc. It was about phantom electricity. Something about I can't remember the joke. It was a few years ago, but I had a couple kid friendly jokes that did really well, and most of the rest of the stuff just I don't know. It was tough. But
Absolutely.
it's a beautiful theater. I was just there to watch Burt Kreischer, the Machine from Florida, actually. I forget what town he's from. Do you know?
I think
Tallahassee, maybe?
Tampa.
Tampa?
Yeah.
Something with a T. Anyways, such a nice guy. Got to meet him after the show. Super nice guy. Uh, Really incredible experience. I was very impressed with the show and everything that went into it. Obviously, a big budget production, and he had two of my friends as openers, Cypher Sounds out of New York City, and Derek Stroop from Colorado, who's actually from Huntsville, Alabama, where I'm going to be next week. So I'm kind of excited about that. He's actually from Harvest, Alabama, which I guess is right outside of Huntsville. Such a funny guy, and it was really cool to see him. He featured, and he got a standing ovation from the feature spot, which was just, I mean, he murdered. He did. I mean, I would someday. I aspire to move an audience like that. He was so funny and had just a ton. I mean, it was a real master class in knowing your audience. He just told joke after joke about Colorado, and we were in Colorado. It was perfect. It was such a good set, and he's the best. Derek Stroop, everybody look him up. Stroup. He's gonna be big. He already is big, but he's gonna be big.
Oh yeah. I remember doing a show with him in Greeley at Syntax, and Tobias booked us together.
Oh yeah,
And I did a guest spot out there, and I was like, and Greeley is something else. I tell you, it was a long drive from Pueblo, but it was totally worth it. And so I remember Cypher Sounds on MTV, so when they played music, so those were the days.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know those guys too. How did Derek do back then in
Oh,
Greeley?
he was pretty good. Yep, I was like blown away. I'm like, but the room was pretty big, so I'm like, I love music like a low ceiling and like a tight,
Mm,
like intimate
yeah,
crowd. And I
yeah.
think that's why when I put on the festivals, I made sure that it's like low ceiling because the one in Pueblo is like a bomb shelter. So it used to be a basement, but they demolished the house and kept the basement. And it's
Okay.
awesome to perform. It was like the first time they ever had stand up in a bomb shelter. And then the one at the Noggin, the dive bar, is just low ceiling, small intimate crowd. And so it's like I never plan on selling them out, but I'm just like I just want people to have a good time. But I just sometimes those rooms are just too big, or if it's like wide open air, it's like where are the laughs? They just like fly out into the sky. So that's why I'm glad that the amphitheater had like a covering so that contains the laughs. So, yeah,
Nice.
good stuff. So you have also we talked about Comedy Works earlier with Thick Skin, and so you perform there too. So how many times have you performed there, and what are some of your favorite memories from there?
Well, so I'm part of their new talent program. Um, so I get to perform there 3, 4 times a year as part of that. Thick Skin, um, and I work with their private booking company, which is called Comedy Works Entertainment. So they're like private gigs, for venues or organizations, and so those are fun. Getting to work on the road for Comedy Works, but Comedy Works itself, the club, is it's magical. I get to do Comedy Works downtown and Comedy Works in the South, and just be clear, I don't get paid at Comedy Works. So there's like there's a big divide between the hundreds and hundreds of comics who want to get paid at Comedy Works and the elite few who do get paid at Comedy Works. One day, hopefully, I'll climb up that ladder. But today, I'm looking up, trying to make an impression there, and it's fun. It's become more fun over the years as I've gotten better, and the downtown club it's outstanding. It's got those low ceilings you were talking about. It's they just do a great job. It's really well managed, and the sound and lighting are terrific. And it's pretty hard to do bad at Comedy Works. It's like a cheat code. It's the exact opposite of performing outdoors or on an office floor. It's pretty fun.
Abs- Absolutely, and I saw on your website too that you created a logo for Comedy Works Entertainment too. So that's pretty neat.
Mm,
Or I think
I don't think so.
it was like you had like Snow Jam on there, and like it was like underneath the big old bio.
Oh, those are logos for show producers to make posters
Oh,
with me. So they're basically like credits. So I'm making it easy for the show producers they're like transparent images of festivals I've been a part of, clubs that I've worked. So like that one would have been the Comedy Works Entertainment logo because I do get paid by them, which is awesome. And yeah, so those aren't, yeah, that maybe that's a little confusing, but I did not create that artwork. They're like
oh,
TV shows I've been on or networks.
thanks for clarifying it because I was like confused. So
Yeah,
I was like,
no
wow,
problem.
that's a lot of good stuff there. So
Yeah. I try and make it, I'm trying to make it easy for people to work with me because I want to say yes to everything and I want people to have me back. And um, so, yeah,
for
just
sure.
trying to make positive impressions on people wherever I am. And if somebody, as a showrunner myself, I run now 60 plus shows a year. It's a lot of work.
It
And the
is.
comics who are easy to work with, I love them. Thank you so much for being easy to work with. If I don't have to ask you twice, I'm so grateful. And if you make it easy to find headshots and when I'm throwing together a poster at 3 in the morning because I got to get it off to the printer or whatever, I don't want to have to dig around to find a high resolution picture. Um, so I basically, so that anytime I have trouble or a pain point, I try and, with another comic that I'm putting on one of my shows, I try and take that lesson and make sure that I'm easy to work with for a future show producer trying to do the same thing for me. So that, like you said, my bio is pretty extensive at this point. That's because people sometimes they ask for longer bios, and then recently somebody asked me for a 3 to 4 sentence bio that describe my comedy, and now that's on that page. So that if anybody asks in the future, they might not even ask because they'll find it on that page.
Indeed. I'm like, it was just so like your comedy journey is just mind blowing. It's just like fantastic, and I love that you like you said you don't want to people that are easy to work with is the
Yeah,
people that I love too. Because I'm
yeah, of
like
course.
like if you can't communicate like via Facebook or Instagram, like smoke signals, like I don't want to work with you. Like it's just
Yeah,
that simple. It's like some people just don't get back to me way too late. And I'm like trying to give you your flowers and put you on the festival, because you gave me put me on, and I'm like, and then they just like take forever to like It's like it's not that hard to like,
Yeah. That is,
but
you did bring up an interesting thing. I am not on Facebook or Instagram, which arguably is the worst thing about working with me as a show producer, because a lot of show producers, they'll send a group Facebook chat or an Instagram group message, and I don't get it. You got to text it to me or email it to me. So I am aware that makes me a little more difficult to work with. But it is what it is. It's a handicap that I fight through. And so far, it's kind of working. I know at some point I'll have to get on. I'd like to get big enough that I can pay somebody to do that for me. But it's a very divisive thing. Some people are like, "It's crazy. How can you be a comedian and not be on Instagram?" That's like half of the Denver comedy scene. The other half is like, "Oh, well, that's why you're so happy, Mark."
yeah, it really is. Because social media, I hate social media. But I'm like,
I hear that from so many people.
yeah, it's like that's why I only do like one show a month and like two mics a week and two festivals a year. I'm totally happy with that because I'm like, no, like, I'm I'm 8 years in, and I'm like, I'm just so over all that. It's like,
Yeah.
forget about it. And I'm like, I don't know, just and plus there's like hardly any mics in my town. Uh, we only have one, and I'm like, and rarely any shows. And so you got to drive all the way to Jacksonville, Daytona, Orlando, just to get 5 minutes of stage time. Like, I wish I lived in Austin or Chicago. I can just be on a show every night and make it so much easier on my life, or a mic every night. It'd be wonderful. Yeah,
Well, there's a lot of competition in those places too. You got to factor that in.
yeah,
But
big
yeah,
time.
you're right. Is there any if you were looking for a show on a Sunday night in your area, or a Monday or a Tuesday, what are the good shows Sunday, Monday, Tuesday?
I love like there's no shows or mics on Sunday. Well, there's like Austin's Coffee in Maitland, which is a mic. Beachside Retro in Melbourne, or Satellite Beach by Melbourne. Um, but that's like an hour and a half from Orlando. Austin's Coffee is like maybe like 15 minutes away from Orlando.
Okay,
The
that's a
best,
mic, like show
yep,
up, sign up.
yep.
Okay, cool.
And then on Monday, I recommend there's two. There's uh, Grumpy's Underground, which is tonight. Best set gets $10, and the other bar is another open mic. And tonight is
Where
the
is that Grumpy's?
Grumpy's is in Orlando, and
Oh, perfect.
so is the other bars in Orlando.
Okay,
So easy to get to.
okay,
Yep. And then Tuesday, I recommend Beachside Moon Room Comedy at Pineapples in Melbourne. They have a really great room. I can talk to Eric Erlacher for you
okay.
and see if he can
I'll
put you
follow up
on.
in an email. I'll send you an
Okay.
email and ask you about these. Incredible. Your encyclopedic knowledge of off
Indeed.
night comedy from Sareth. I'm impressed.
Indeed. Like everyone knows me in Florida. Like I created this like long like I meant to like I did like this specials that I was planning on like it was just mics, right? Like back to back for like 2 weeks straight. And then I said, why don't I turn this into a documentary and include all my friends on there? And I didn't
Hmm.
know how long it would be. And so by the time I like counted all the minutes and seconds, it was 9 hours long, edited.
Wow.
So it's everyone from Jacksonville to Melbourne to Orlando to Daytona and everywhere in between. I'm like, heck yeah, I can put all my. But it's like Chicago's like comedians you should know, and so
Okay.
like I'm connected to like everyone. It seems like so. I'll help guide your way when
Okay.
you're here. So
Great. I
yeah.
got bookings, solid for like 2 weeks, but that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in Florida, I'm I'm dry.
Oh,
So
and
yeah.
see if you can get the hosting gigs, like guest hosting, because that's the only way they'll pay you.
Okay.
But I know that you don't mind working for free. But I'm like, you
Yeah.
traveled all the
Well,
way
I'd
from
rather get
Colorado.
paid,
Yeah,
obviously.
absolutely. So if you can get like land a hosting gig with any of those spots, then you'll get
Okay.
paid. But I
Nice.
still don't get paid, and I'm like, oh well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Indeed, awesome.
Cool.
And so yeah, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those are the best spots. Um,
Okay.
don't
Thanks.
go to Copper Rocket on Tuesday. It's a really rough room, and the bartenders heckle you. So
Okay.
they don't turn off the TVs either. So
Okay.
yep,
Great.
encyclopedia of knowledge for sure.
Nice. Yeah, you're a good one to know.
Absolutely.
Um,
Right back
right.
at you, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so I got like 5, 10 minutes just to
Okay.
so if we want to start
Uh,
landing this plane.
Oh, you got it. So I'll just rush in. We'll continue part two with like the other second part of your bio later on. Uh,
Okay.
but 10 minutes. We'll do the lightning round of the usual questions I ask everyone. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Sounds good. So, what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
Um, oh, what a great question. So probably just consuming stand-up comedy. I liked watching stand-up comedy. I grew up. I saw George Carlin when I was in like middle school. I thought it was really neat. So I'd say very good stand-up comedians inspired me.
Awesome. And what was it feeling like when you first performed stand-up?
Angry. I signed up at a mic. You can read this story in my book, Not Good Yet. It's at notgoodyet.com. You can get it if you have a paid subscription to Spotify. You can listen to it for free. You can also get it on like Audible, which is Amazon. So you can get it all over the place. And in fact, if you're watching this and you mention Sareth and you send me a nice note through my website, I can probably send you a free copy of the audiobook. And if you want to buy the book, that's the best case scenario for me is if you reach out through my website, I'll sign it for you and send you a nice little note and put it in the mail. I love walking to the post office, Sareth, with a couple books to mail off because I know I'm getting some money. But anyways, so my very first time performing was an open mic at called Irish Rover, and I got there like an hour and a half early and signed up and did not go up for another like 5 hours when there was nobody left, and they limited my time. So I'd say angry was the overwhelming emotion. Pro tip: don't be angry when you're doing comedy. It's not helpful. You're not going to perform well, and it's not good for networking with peers, etc. I'm now great friends with a host who I was really pissed at that night, and made that clear, which was not a good move on my part because he's influential in the Denver comedy scene. But we patched that up over the years. But yeah, so angry. Be patient. Your very first time performing.
Absolutely. I'll be sure to buy a book from you when I get paid, because I
Okay.
bought Sam's book and he autographed it twice. So it's
Oh,
awesome.
that's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I'll
It's
mail you one. Just send me a note. You can Venmo, Zelle, send me anything. Well, there's lots of ways to pay. We can figure it out.
You got it. Sounds good. Hell, I might just buy one from you when you're here in town in Florida.
Okay, I
Yeah,
gonna I should. That's another thing. Another chore for me today is I got to load a box of books into the back of my car. So,
sounds good. And so, what are your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
I'm a big fan of Gary Goldman. This doesn't really answer your question specifically, but my favorite bit is his 50 states bit. So if you Google 50 states Gary Goldman, you'll get a version of it. The one that will probably pop up is his version on Conan, which isn't my favorite because it's a little shortened, but it's still incredible. The best 5 minutes of comedy I think you'll ever hear. It's so funny. He's the best. Gulman. He just wrote a book called Misfit. I have not read it yet, but I can't wait to read it. It just came out like last month, or maybe this month. We're at the end of October. Uh, so my let's see, other favorite specials or albums. I'm gonna stick with that. Gary Goldman, 50 States.
Awesome. So you answered another question, which was another, what was another, what's your favorite Jekyll comic has written? So I'll
Oh,
mark that
okay,
off the question list. So,
sure.
what's what are your favorite sitcom sketch shows and comedy films?
Uh, oof. Sitcom. I really liked Arrested Development. So funny, writing so tight, so quick. The pacing was incredible. The acting was great. So Arrested Development, comedy movies. Super Bad was hilarious. Um, I'll stick with Super Bad. I liked Super Bad. I
Awesome.
mean, there's like some old timey stuff, but Caddyshack was really good. But it's hard to watch anything old. It's hard to watch them now. They don't really hold up. Animal House was terrific. Christmas Vacation is one of my favorites, especially because it involves a lot of Colorado. We talked about Dumb and Dumber. There's also a lot of Colorado in Dumb and Dumber, so that's pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sketch shows.
Um, I watched Nate Bargatze on Saturday Night Live this week, and he did an incredible job. His host monologue, incredible, so funny. That George Washington sketch about measurements, incredible. Like just so funny. I was laughing out loud. So hit it out of the park. I mean, everybody of my age loved Saturday Night Live growing up. So that was my show when I was younger. So really fun. I'll go with Saturday Night Live. It's a pretty boring answer, but
I loved his Hallmark horror sketch. That was great.
yes,
Yeah,
that was good.
indeed. And if you're going on tour tomorrow, so which comics would you like to go on tour with, international and locally known?
Oh man. Well, okay. So obviously, I would like to open for some people because I would like to perform in bigger theaters to bigger audiences. It'd be an honor to tour with anybody who can, book a 1,000-person theater or even a 500 plus person theater. No limitations. Anybody, any creed, any race, any religion, any gender. I'll open for you. I will say yes. It's in the first sentence of my bio. I will say yes to your show. So I'd love to go on the road with somebody who's hit it big. But more realistically is me booking people. I tried to book Sareth on a show I'm doing next week in Alabama, and it didn't work out this time. But I'd love to work with you in the future. Anybody who communicates well, is punctual, professional, I'd love to, and funny. Obviously, that's first. I'd love to work with them. I love to work. Jake Hovis is going to join me on 2 dates in this tour. Super funny comic. Was in Denver, now out of Louisville, Kentucky. Big Jake Hovis. We did some road work earlier this year. He flew into Colorado and we drove all over the state, did a bunch of shows together. He opened for me. He could honestly, I could open for him. He's super funny, but he's great to work with. So yeah, I got a mill. I mean, I work with like, let's see, I work with at least 250 comics every year. I'm on shows with them and booking them and setting up marketing for them. So there are hundreds. Anybody. There's very few. The number of comics that I would not work with is very small.
Same here. Same here. I feel you. And I would love to work with you. Hopefully, when you come to Florida, we'll hop on
Yeah,
some
maybe
lots
we'll
of
figure
shows
something
together.
out that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. I'll reach out to Eric for sure and get us on, try to get us on Moon Room, because that's
Okay.
like a very popular room. So,
Which night was
some
that?
that's Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. Okay, maybe I'll do
Yep.
that on the way out because I'm supposed to be in West Palm Beach then, which is probably
Oh,
pretty far from there. But
eh,
maybe I'll drive back up Tuesday night. Is that in Orlando?
it's in Melbourne,
Okay.
Florida. So it's like an hour and a half east of Orlando.
Orlando? Oh,
But
wow. I'm such a
yep.
dummy. I thought Orlando was on the coast. I guess not.
Oh, it's central, like centrally located. But
Okay.
if anything, we'll do the mics on Monday together.
Okay.
So yep.
I'll
If you can
email
get
you. We'll figure something out.
absolutely,
Yeah.
if you can get roasted by 5 comedians, top five that are alive, which comedians would to get roasted by?
Oh, man. Ooh, it might hurt my feelings to get roasted. Um, well, I roasted Carmen Lagala at a New York City, very funny comic that people probably haven't heard of. Check her out. I roasted her at the Vail Comedy Festival this last year, so I'm due to get roasted by her, I suppose. Um, Maybe Usama Siddiqui. He did our festival 2 years ago. Super funny guy. Was on America's Got Talent. How many am I supposed to pick?
Five
5. Okay,
that are
there's
alive.
2.
Yeah.
There's 2. Um, Maybe Oren B, who was the host of that mic that I had the clash with my very first time because I owe him a lot, so that'd be nice. That's 3. 4, I'm gonna go with Jessica Curson. I think she's so funny. I would love to work with her someday, and that would be close enough. And number 5, Gary Goldman. Why not? He seems like he's too nice to roast me, but I'm sure he could come up with something.
Indeed. We're at the 1 hour mark, so if you want, we can skip the last four questions.
Fire, rapid fire. We'll do them
Okay.
rapid fire.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Where do you see your comedy during the next 5 years?
Next 5 years. Well, in my book, one of my big goals is someday to sell out a 250 or larger audience. This is a terrible sentence. It's not making any sense. I promise the book is better written than this. But the basic idea is that my name would be on an marquee at some venue that holds more than 250 people. It's sold out. I'm headlining. That's like my big goal. It still today feels impossible, but it's getting like closer. Like I performed for 300 people recently. I wasn't the headliner, but I held my own, and I could see that. I could see it possibly happening in the next 5 years. That's what I'm laser focused on.
Indeed. Pull all the punches. I recommend getting involved with a nonprofit and a charity to help, pack seats out. And then get on the radio too. Because I was able to bring 280 people at the Orlando Improv once. I was like, this is nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Indeed. So definitely get out, use the radio because they help out a lot, especially if you have an interesting backstory, and you do have an interesting backstory. So
sure.
Yep. So absolutely. And let's see. Which other forms of comedy would you venture off into, like improv, sketch, comedy writing, acting, directing?
None of the above. Focused on stand-up comedy alone.
Awesome.
Maybe if I had to pick one of those, I'd say acting.
Indeed. And you got my favorite joke written by Gary Goldman, so that's all set. And then the fourth one is, what experience would you like your audience to take with them after your set is over?
I want my audience to think, hey, I should sign up for his free monthly newsletter. Doesn't cost me anything. It's a nice thing to do. I heard a rumor he'll send a personal thank you note by email to everybody who subscribes. That's what I want them to like me enough. People hate signing up for email lists. I want them to have had such a good time, have their stomach hurts, they're crying, and the first thing they do when they get in the car is, hey, let me go to www.markmasters.co and sign up for that guy's email list because he asked us to, and I want to do something nice for him because he made my night.
Absolutely. And this is the stand-up speakeasy, which is like a secret society of stand-up comics. So with that being said, which 5 comics would you like to see on a future episode of the stand-up speakeasy? It has to be in your circle though, because famous people, like, it's hard to reach.
Sure, I get it. How about Charlie Nadler, Kyle Ruff, Joe Daly, McKenna. Sorry, Joe McKenna. Those are all guys. Let's do a couple girls. We want to do this. Oh, how about Leah Altoff and give you a stretch. Try and think of somebody. How about Hannah Jones? Be a hard one to get, I would think.
Good stuff. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being my guest today, and I put all your social media info and your website below, so that way people can go on and see where you're going to be next. So I was going to ask you where you're going to be seen next, but go to Mark's website.
Yeah, if you go to my website, it's got all my tour dates. Sign up for my monthly newsletter. You get 1 email a month. It's free. Sign up at markmasters.co. You hear crazy stories about me sleeping in my car and doing web shows with people like Sareth and whatever happens in my crazy journeys. Go to ValeComedyFestival.com. It's every Memorial Day weekend. It's a beautiful place to visit. The comedy is incredible. Go to ValeComedyShow.com for live monthly stand-up shows in and around Vail. I also run monthly shows in Castle Rock, Colorado, Breckenridge, Colorado, Denver, Colorado. You can go to lodocomedy.com. And I'm spinning up a new show in Aurora now. Don't know if that one will last, but Google it. Maybe it will still be around. It'll probably be called Aurora Comedy Show. Yeah, check it out.
Wow, you're incredible, Mark. Let me tell you, you're a road warrior, I tell you.
Yeah. Well, I hope to see you in about a week in Florida, Sareth. Keep the air conditioning on for me. And thanks, everybody who watched this. This is a lot of fun.
Heck yeah, good stuff. Well, those were the final words from Mark, and be well, take